Hey there, what is up guys? My name is Amir and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, we will be talking about three things. One of them is going through the concepts that we already discussed in the previous video. If you haven't watched that video, make sure that you watch all the other videos. And then the next thing is the relationship with the components. And we'll also be creating a new pipeline along with an activity inside it. And that will also have two data sets. So without spending any more time, let's get started. So the first thing, as I said, we'll be discussing about the concepts, and we already went into a little bit more details in the previous video, but in this video I'll be just highlighting these concepts really quickly. So a data factory has these few key components, which is pipeline, activities, dataset, triggers, and link services. From the previous video, you already know that a pipeline is a logical grouping of activities, and each activity is responsible for carrying out a unit of work. A dataset is actually used for representing the structure of data. It also points or acts as a reference to this data over the external source. Triggers are used for automating the scheduling of data factory pipeline. Link services are more of used to establish a connection with the external sources. Now we understand on a very high level what the components mean. So let's just look at the relationship between these components. So on the right hand side, if you see, we have a pipeline which can be managed, scheduled, and monitored. And a pipeline, as I said, is a logical group of activities. These activities run on top of these link services, or they use the link services, and these activities have the capability of consuming the data from an external data source using dataset and link services, and it can also produce that data into an external source. And over here, as you can see, this data set is used just for representing a data item. It describes the structure and acts as a reference point to the data source. At the same time, link service is what is used to establish the connection between the data factory and the external source. With this, we understand the relationship between the components of data factory. Now let's move on to the next topic in this video, which is to create a data factory pipeline. So here I am back on my browser. I'll be heading to the Azure portal. So on the Azure portal, you can see over my dashboard, I recently created two resources under one resource group, which is an Azure Data Factory and an Azure Storage account. What we'll be doing in this video is we'll be using this storage account for copying the data from the input folder to the output folder. So this is my storage account. In the input folder, you can see that I have a file already placed called as employee.csv. I'll just click on edit, and you can see there are two rows with the header of the CSV file. Now we'll be copying this file into the output folder using a data factory pipeline. Now let's move on to creating a data factory pipeline. To open the resource, you can just go on the URL bar and type for adf.azure.com. Once you are in your data factory, this is what the UI for data factory looks like. Before creating a pipeline, let's just look into what data factory has to offer. So on the left hand side, you can see a home page, an author page. Within this author page, you can see that we have pipeline, data sets, data flow, and Power Query. So in the home page, you can see that you can create a new pipeline, Power Query, data flow, or data set. If you click on orchestrate, it will lead you back to the author page, and it will create a new pipeline for you. Let me just delete this as of now. And on the top, you can see that there is an option for setting up your code repository. I'll not be doing that as of now in this video. The next thing I will do is I'll go in the manage section, because over here we have link services, integration, runtime, Azure Purview. So we already spoke about link services, and I've already created one. So this link services is pointing towards the storage account, which I shared you over my dashboard. So in this link service, what we have is a connection to this storage account. And the way I have done it is using account keys. It was easy. You just have to go over here, select the authentication type as account key, click on the connection string, and then choose from subscription. You can choose your subscription right over here, and your storage account should pop up under this storage account name. Once you have your name, you can just click on test connection. Once you see that your connection is successful, you can just click on apply. So I have already done this, so I don't really have to again create this or update this existing link service. So I'll just discard the changes, and let's go back to the manage section, where you have other options as git configuration, ARM template, triggers, and global parameters. So in this section, you can actually click on git configuration, configure your git repository. That can be GitHub or Azure DevOps. ARM template will be helping you in importing and exporting ARM templates. Here you can create your triggers. There are 4 different types of triggers, which is scheduled, tumbling window, storage events, and custom events. And then you have the last one, which is the global parameters. This helps you in creating the parameters for your data factory, and it can be accessed within any pipeline that is a part of this data factory. So heading back to author, let's just create a new pipeline. So over here you have an option to create a new pipeline. You can either click over here and just say new pipeline. Once you are over here, you will see this tab over here, which will have all the activities that data factory has to offer while creating the data factory pipeline. We will be just choosing an activity within move and transform, that is the copy activity. Once you have your copy activity here, you can just rename the copy activity to copy employee data, and then just head back to the pipeline name. You can also name it as copy employee data or copy employee data. Once you have renamed both of them, you can just click on the source. Here you can see that you don't have any data set. So let's click on new, type blob storage, and let's just create a blob storage with a delimited text CSV file and click on continue. You can name this as employee input dataset, and you can associate the link service which we just spoke about. You can click on first row as header, and you can also click on browse and just head to the directory where your file is located. You can see that this is the name of my container, and then you have the input and the output folder. So I'll just be clicking on the input folder, and finally you can see the file over here, employee.csv. So you click on that and click on OK, and you can see that the file path has set as expected. Already selected first row as header and click on OK. Once your source dataset is created, you can go over here in the dataset section and just clone this and rename it to output dataset. Remove the other part of this and change the name of the folder to output. I think you already know about this, and remove the file name. So once we are done with creating the input and the output dataset, if you look into the data factory pipeline, you can go in sync. You can select the output dataset which we just created. So once you have assigned the source and the sync dataset, you can go into debug and see if this is working. It will take a few seconds. It will provision and it will execute this activity. And once the activity is executed, you can see that the data is copied from the input folder to the output folder. As you can see, the status right now is still in queue state. And there you go, it succeeded. Now the best way to actually see if the data is copied or not is you can click on the icon over here, and you can see there's a 55 bytes of file which was read. The number of file is 1 and the files written is 1 again, and the same amount of data is written, and this is the throughput over here, and the number of data integration units is 4. Now if you also go back to the monitor page, you can see that in the debug section a new pipeline run has been created, and it took 17 seconds to run this pipeline. And if you head back to the storage account and refresh the output folder, you should see the CSV file. Let's just click on edit and see the content as it is. The file was copied successfully. So thank you for watching the video. If you really like this video, subscribe to my channel and hit the thumbs up button. Also click on the bell icon if you want to get more updates on my channel, and continue learning Data Factory. I'll be talking to you guys in the next one.